Good, how are you? Good. Thanks for taking the time. You got a coffee?
Yeah, a little tea.
And we were all set up over here.
Great.
If it is a time of reckoning in hockey, a breaking of the ice, Dan Carcillo was one of the first cracks in the silence.
So Dan, I mean, when we first spoke to you, it was about a year ago, when you came forward with your allegations of abuse that you had endured and that you had witnessed. Can you tell me a little bit about what's this last year been like for you?
It's been difficult to be a man on an island, but I also have a really great tool, and we all have a really great tool, which is our phones and social media. So I've used that this past year as my therapy to just continue my advocacy work and continue to speak my truth.
Carcillo's truth is scathing. Brutal abuse he says he endured and witnessed as a junior player with the Ontario Hockey League. Since coming forward, he's become a beacon. At last count, 400 people, many of them players, have reached out to him.
What are they coming forward with?
Just their abuse stories. Some of them are sexual. A lot of them are sexual because I don't think people realize, like, forcing somebody to pull down their pants in front of a room full of guys and getting paddled, that's sexual assault. That's not hazing, right? Getting pissed on in a shower and spit on, that's sexual assault, right? Getting taped naked to a table and then whipped with a belt, that's sexual assault. So I just want people to realize where the line is and what's happened to them, because then they can stop feeling guilty and holding everything inside, and they can truly start healing. As soon as you tell that story and you relinquish that story, even if it's to me, somebody that you don't know, a weight is lifted because you've told somebody. It's not in your own head.
They talk about a reckoning in hockey or a Me Too movement. Is there a tipping point that you're seeing now?
I think so. A lot of people talk about Me Too, and I refer to the Catholic Church because as soon as the Pope, Don Cherry, went down, and then Mike Babcock, who's a bishop, and then Bill Peters, then everybody's like, whoa. Yes, that was happening to me for years, and now these guys are removed. Wow. So if I talk, my words hold that much power. If I tell the truth, yes, they do. So tell the truth, and something will happen.
These guys pay for your way of life that you enjoy in Canada.
Holding abuse to account may have started with Don Cherry. The controversial host of Coach's Corner was fired over his comments about immigrants and poppies. And then came a rush of stories. Allegations of racism that forced former Calgary Flames coach Bill Peters to resign. Stories of psychological abuse that surfaced after Toronto Maple Leafs coach Mike Babcock was fired. And most recently, claims that Chicago Blackhawks assistant coach Mark Crawford kicked and choked players. His conduct is now under investigation.
There are lines that cannot be crossed.
The revelations prompted the NHL to announce mandatory diversity and inclusion training for coaches and a crisis hotline for team employees.
I mean, of course it's an acknowledgement. Do I think that players are going to call into a hotline? And the NHL is going to listen to their voicemails? Absolutely not. I mean...
Why not?
Because there's fear of reprisal. There always is.
Even if it's anonymous?
Even if it's anonymous. It'll still get back, right? Because that coach will know what he did. He'll know who he did it to. The whole room will know. And then he'll be removed, and everybody will know who it is.
So what's the answer, a third party?
Third-party investigators, for sure. Even for Hockey Canada. They've been shown, right? These organizations, in my opinion, have shown us that they lie, that they cover these stories up, and they lean on victims, right? So I truly believe the only way is a third-party investigation by a third-party organization, that doesn't get paid by the NHL, Hockey Canada, or the CHL.
Carcillo and Roussel. They're going to go. Pay for this!
Carcillo is familiar with toxic elements of hockey culture, not just as a victim of it, but also because he was part of it. As an NHL enforcer, Carcillo admits he embodied everything he is calling out today.
You've had some criticism, though, because you're pretty complicated, too, right? You had your own history as a bully. You say you've made racist remarks. So how do you kind of square that now in terms of what you're saying now and how people are perceiving you?
I was a bully. I was an abuser. I was racist. I was homophobic. I was all of those things, on and off the ice. right? But what people don't want to see is that I held myself accountable at 25 years old in the league. I kept getting injured, right? I kept getting traded. I wasn't a good teammate. My career was almost over. Philly didn't qualify me. And then I signed with the Blackhawks. That's when I met Steve Monador. That's when I got sober. That's when I held myself accountable. I got rehabilitated. In my last 5 years in the league, I went to the Stanley Cup Finals 4 times with 3 different teams. And I hate to quote Drake, but when you live the right way, your luck is a sure thing. And that's proof of it. But I did that in my career, right? And because I just took a step back, like, wow, I'm either going to continue to end up in more institutions, I'm going to be dead, or I'm going to get healthy.
Carcillo says he started healing, started becoming a better husband and father too, when he held himself accountable. And he wants more change.
Or when I need to go in.
He and other players are musing about a lawsuit, but he says he'd rather help create a new culture from within, from the bottom up.
And the reason I'd like to start in the CHL, specifically the OHL, is because that's where the majority of the abuse stories lie. And that's where these coaches come up, right? They come up through minor hockey. They come up through the Canadian Hockey League. They don't just start in the NHL. So where can we enact the most change? I truly believe it's in the minor leagues. And you propose programming that I truly believe would work, with former players coming in to talk to younger players, and coaches. Like, you bring the coaches and the players together, and you talk to them both about, this is what it looks like to be a tough coach, and this is what it looks like to be an abusive coach. And it's just human decency. You can't kick kids, you can't choke kids, and you can't use choice words coupled with the swearing when you want to try to motivate.
Repeating that message has become a form of therapy. Carcillo has joined forces with other players, sporting a clothing line that supports mental health programs. His toque is part of that brand.
So it's Ducky brand, founded by Aiden Gerdukis, and I noticed what they were doing.
What are they doing?
So they're raising money, selling apparel, and donating 30% of that to the Canadian Mental Health Association of Canada. And we're going to go out on a speaking tour in February.
The speaking tour, he says, will take him to schools, rinks, even the military. It will start in Ontario, and the plan is to go across the country.
So what's your message to young players today?
I guess the message would be, like, you're really special, right? Like, you have these really amazing skill sets that you can apply to hockey, and just know your worth. You know, just know your worth, and really, that's to players, and then to coaches out there, it comes down to human decency, right? If you wouldn't do it on a camera, mic'd up, on national television, probably shouldn't do it.
Are you hopeful that things will change, that this reckoning, that it's been called a reckoning in hockey, do you think it's going to stick and actually lead to real change?
I really do. Now, whether that change comes from the inside or whether I continue to do it from the outside, I really, truly believe that it will happen. It's already happening. There's so many people that have been empowered to tell their story. It's amazing. It's amazing, the healing. I know it's hard for the hockey community because it's super negative, but it's necessary. I love the game of hockey. I hate the institutions, you know.
Carcillo says he spoke his truth, and he promises to keep using his voice to help more people find theirs. Joanna Brumeliotis, CBC News, Toronto.